Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, I am taking more of your questions in a segment of Ask Judy. If you're enjoying these, please do hit like and subscribe. And just as a reminder, I will be away the first 2 weeks of October, so possibly no videos being posted, and definitely I won't be around to answer comments for a couple of weeks, so just be patient. Thanks. I have a question here from Heather, who was a little confused about those definitions of producers, and as am I still. Who knows? Maybe I'll take it up 3, 4, 5 times and we'll gradually try and piece it all together. Anyway, Heather did have another question. She said, I would be interested in knowing what your thoughts were on Hollywood today and how it has changed, particularly since the 70s. Oh, wow. There's so many ways in which it's changed, and oftentimes the things that we come up with are the most familiar to us, so it's easy for me to say I liked it better then because it was what I was familiar with, and it was such a wonderful experience for me coming up on the Waltons and working on film and working with that wonderful cast and crew. But a lot of technology has advanced, which I also like because it has made it possible for many of us to do smaller independent films, like my own film, Nowhere to Hide. I couldn't have made that in the 70s Hollywood because it was just, the cost was prohibitive. My little short film, Space Limbo, which I'm about to launch, and we'll tell you all about that. Those things, couldn't have done them. So those pieces I'm very happy about. It's gotten so big and diverse that I'm not so crazy about. Theoretically, it means that we all have a lot more choices of things to watch, and hopefully that means something for everyone, but sometimes you have to really dig around. Frequently, I hear some of you say that there's nothing on, nothing as good as the Waltons, and although I really appreciate that, I think that there are things that are lovely that are being made today, but I don't love that everything's on its own individual channel and that you have to subscribe to everything and that you have no way of knowing everything that's available. I find it overwhelming, but I think it's great that there is so much available. So all of that is tough. I look back at the studio system, when there was a studio system and actors were under contract and they knew they would work, but they also had very little control over the projects. They were told by the studio, you're doing this, and they may not have wanted to do that, or they may not have had the opportunities that they could have had in a freelance environment. But I liked that idea of having that whole team and that system, but people who went through it might have thought it was horrible. So, I'm familiar with what I came up through, and I loved it. And now I have a question from Dave, who also commented on the producer question and about how fluid it is. Yes, I think that's really true, that it has changed over the years, and it is different from film to television. So those were things that I learned in talking with John about it. Dave also wanted to know, following up on a previous question, which is why scenes take so long to film. Can I elaborate on that? Is it because of different camera angles and being forced to relight to the set, etc.? And when you work a long day, how much is the actor involved in this? Okay, so first of all, I'll address that, why it takes so long. It is because of having to reset the camera. And pretty much every time you have to move the camera, you do have to relight to some degree. Equipment has to move, maybe pieces of the set have to move, maybe things have to be cleared out. If you've totally turned around, then you have to redress that area of the set. It just takes time for all of that. Again, in today's independent world, a lot of that can happen faster because there's sometimes lighting is faster, or you don't need as much because the cameras, the type of digital cameras can do more with less light, but it's still, to craft that takes time. So it just is what it is. And in terms of how much the actors are involved in long days, if they're doing all that lighting, the actors are hanging out. And then, so you can take hours to shoot one scene. If you're talking about a film, you could take days to shoot a scene. So it depends how long the scene is. And then, they're going to move to the next scene. So then you're going to be called in for rehearsal and sort of a light blocking for the camera. And then you're going to be sent away because now they're going to light and they're going to dress the set and they're going to do everything else they need to do. So the actors are going to go hang out. And then they're going to call you in and you're going to shoot. And then they're going to go into new camera angles and you're going to go away. And then maybe there's a scene you're not in. So then maybe there's a couple of hours where you're just hanging out because you have another scene later. So it's the running line with working in television is hurry up and wait. Because you need to be there. You need to be ready for when they need you. But you spend a lot of time waiting and it can be very tedious. That's why we loved having each other on set on the Waltons, because we were a family, so at least you had people to hang with. But sometimes I'd go to my dressing room and try and read a book, but then you get tired of that, or you go and you chat with people, but the energy zaps when you're sitting around waiting. So that's always the challenge with a long day on set, is having your energy, monitoring that and making sure that when you need to be on, you're there and your energy's up to do the scene. And then when you're down, you don't want to be wasting too much energy, but you don't want to fall asleep. Sometimes you would sleep, but then you have to get up and be ready and wake yourself up. And so, yeah, it's not the most, it's not the busiest thing to do, being an actor. If you're working on the crew or something, then a lot of times you're a lot busier because you're constantly involved with the relighting. But they go, hang when the actors are doing their part. But people have to be there to make little adjustments if suddenly they go, oh, could you tweak that light or could you move this? So, long day for everybody. This question from Jerry, who asked, as an actor on the Waltons, would you have liked acting before a studio audience? I don't know. I mean, I love doing theater. I love working in front of a studio audience or a live audience, but I think it would have been too restrictive for a show like the Waltons. That's why they don't do dramas in front of an audience, because you're limited in where the camera can go, so your blocking is very limited. And I mean, I like the continuity of doing something live, but I liked the freedom that we had of working on film, and that it wasn't the type of show where you needed an immediate audience reaction because of the drama aspect of it. With a comedy, they want to hear if the laughs are there. With drama, a lot of things are very personal, and I know, Mary talked about having all the people around the set when you were doing certain scenes, and yeah, I mean, it can be enough just having all the crew there watching when you're doing very intense emotional scenes. So I don't know. I don't think I would have preferred having a studio audience there. That's what I have for you for this segment of Behind the Scenes at the Waltons, Ask Judy. I'll be back again next time with more of your questions in a segment of Ask Judy and more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Thanks for watching.